When done properly, the internet, screens, and particularly social media can provide 5 essential elements of adolescent well-being: a sense of control over one's environment, individuation, self-expression, a connection to others, and acceptance. And then there is the abyss. Welcome to App-Propriate, a podcast designed to give you a little taste into the positives and negatives of the most popular social media apps, so that you and your most importants can make more informed, healthy, and safer choices when it comes to interacting through your screens. I'm your host, Joe Langford. Note that I said safer, not safe. Interacting through screens with other humans contains a degree of natural risk, just like real life. And I believe that education leads to empowerment, and I hope this information helps add a degree of safety, social responsibility, and good digital citizenship to your social networking and the conversations you have about it with your family. Today's episode is about COPPA, the Children's Online Privacy Protection Act, a federal law which both is designed to protect our kids' online data and has established 13 as the age of internet adulthood. In the 90s, children's media advocacy groups became concerned as more and more companies began designing websites for kids that offered rewards in exchange for personal information about themselves. Television and other media had guidelines around targeted advertising to children, but the internet was new and had no such rules, and faced with companies who wanted access to kids' information, and kids who offered it up without knowing what they were doing, and parents who were not prepared for any of that, in 1998, Congress established rules for marketing directed at children on the web by passing the Children's Online Privacy Protection Act, also known as COPPA. COPPA became effective on April 21, 2000. Its primary goals were to prevent online companies, websites, and now apps from targeting individual children with personalized marketing messages, and to put parents in control of what information is collected from children who are under the age of 13. COPPA's basic requirements apply to operators of commercial websites and online services and how they collect, treat, and use children's personal information, including their first and last name, physical addresses, online contact information, their screen or usernames, especially ones that could be used to recontact children directly, and their telephone and social security numbers. The Federal Trade Commission issued an amendment to COPPA which took effect in July of 2013 and expanded personal information to include photos or videos that contain a child's image, as well as audio recordings of children's voices, persistent identifiers, which we generally call cookies, that websites use to track a user's behavior and movement on digital media across different websites or online services, and children's geolocation information. Basically acknowledging that in this age of apps, personal information has become much more than just a child's name, address, or email. It includes a ton of things that companies could use to identify and target individual children. These regulations are designed to help create a safer, secure, and more responsible online environment for kids. Among other things, COPPA requires websites or online services directed at children to do a few key things. Provide links to a clear and comprehensive online privacy policy, describing their practices for personal information collected online from children. The privacy policy must explain what kinds of information the site collects, how that information is used, and whether it's shared with other companies. It requires them to obtain verifiable parental consent before collecting personal information from kids, to keep the information collected online from a child only as long as it's necessary to fulfill the purpose for which it was collected, and to take reasonable steps to protect that information and maintain the confidentiality of the children that use their services. Today, children are growing up in a robust, constantly connected culture, engaging with new media and other tech in many ways throughout their entire childhood. Marketing is woven into almost every aspect of young people's daily experiences, and if you grew up in the 80s and 90s, you experienced this as well. But if you thought the mall, the Cartoon Network, and MTV shoved trends and brands down our throats, marketers can now follow our little digital natives everywhere they go. As a consequence, kids are increasingly exposed to a flood of new digital marketing and data collection techniques designed to track, target, and influence them 24/7. Kids under 13 are still developing, mentally, psychologically, biologically, and socially. Though sometimes tech-savvy, they're still vulnerable to that kind of manipulation, and not always able to recognize advertising, especially when it's disguised as entertainment, embedded in an online game, or presented to them through a friend. It's part of our responsibility as parents to help our kids become media literate, and here are a few more things that we can do to support and supplement the COPPA standards. Have expectations about what sites and apps your kids access. Encourage them to be very mindful about what identifying information they post online about themselves. Review the privacy policies of all the websites and digital devices your children use to make sure the safety, security, and privacy protections provided on them align with your values. Teach them to be wary of websites, mobile apps, and other child-oriented digital media that ask for personal information that does not seem necessary, particularly apps that are free to download but then prompt kids to give information or money in order to interact with the platform or require location sharing to be on by default. Talk consistently about where they go online and what they do when they're there. And for more information about COPPA and its requirements, visit www.ftc.gov. Thank you for listening. I'm Joe Langford. I'm a therapist, a sex and tech educator, and a dad, and I specialize in helping families navigate that intersection of adolescence, sexuality, technology, and behavior. More information about me and my work to promote healthy, positive, and safer sexual and social behavior, both online and off, can be found at my website, beheroes.net.
The advice presented in this podcast is a form of education and is intended to provide general information about common though broad topics that impact underage people. Specific circumstances and facts may make said advice unsuitable and/or other actions necessary for individuals. This podcast is meant to be an adjunct, not a replacement, for IRL experience, professional advice, and good old-fashioned common sense. In addition, much of the information included here can and most likely will change with time, culture, and the rapid development of technology. BeHeroes.net does not seek nor accept any monetary gain or financial support from any social media platform mentioned. BeHeroes.net is committed to providing quality consulting, coaching, product, speaker, and contracted therapeutic services, advocacy, and resources to clients, visitors, customers, colleagues, and fans. Appropriate is produced by BeHeroes.net.